David, and we are going to be talking about personal finance and music and how you can be as successful as possible as a musician. And I've been a musician since I was 16 and doing shows, and it took me 10 years to learn some of this stuff. So, this is probably one of the most important videos, and it's about getting a business license for your music and how you can actually have tax write offs, but you're going to be taxed a little bit because you have to pay about, depending on your state, 25% taxes. So if you make $100, you only keep 75, which is a huge deterrent. But if you ever want to use your income and prove your income as a musician, this is the way to do it. If you buy a house, you will be able to show your tax identification number, and they're going to be able to see how much income you make, and you can buy a house just based off of being a musician. Because if you don't keep that stuff, they're going to look at you as a guy like with a suitcase who travels, which most musicians are, but there are some who make enough to say, listen, I make $1,000 a month, let's put it towards a house. So there are two things that you need to do. Number one, set up a business bank account. It took me a long time to learn this because I always put my income and my tip money through my checking account, and I realize it's very hard. Yes, you can prove your tips that way, and I would definitely do it if you don't have a business account, because most business accounts require you to actually have a business and a tax identification number. But a separate account, if you can't get a business account, and put all of your income that you want to claim. Now, you have to make $600 for it to be a business, so anything under that doesn't qualify. One of the first years that I played music, I made like $500, and I was like, this is great, $500 for playing piano. I was very, very happy, or music in general. And then it really dawned on me that it could not get me where I needed because I could not buy a business license in that physical year. Then the next year I made $600. I'm like, I'm going to go and apply. It's going to be great. And then I realized that you have to do two things. Keep it in a separate account. And the other one is look at your finances and decide how much income do you want to prove. Because if you only prove your gig income, you will not have any problems if you're making the amount that you want to claim. Like if you want to buy a house, you're going to at least need to make $1,000 a month off music to prove to them that you can cover your mortgage. So what I had to do for a while is look at my entire income per the month. If I were getting a $50 gig or a $100 gig, and I was making $50 to $100 in tips, I just took all of my income, pay and tips, and put it in the same account, which shows that I'm making a higher income. The only drawback is they will ask for taxes from your tip money. So you do not have to claim it, but it is very important that you look at it like, if I'm wanting to buy a house and I need to make at least $1,000 and I'm only making $500 from playing gigs, and the other's like $500 to $700 is tips, you will never be able to get the income level that you desire unless you get a really cheap house. So you might have to kind of bite the bullet for a year and say, I'm going to pay taxes on these tips just so I can have a higher income level to show to the mortgage lender that I can purchase and I have enough purchasing power. Because if not, they're going to look at you, because I've called them, like, oh, so you're a musician. We need 2 years of work history. I'm like, well, I've worked these jobs and I've worked as a musician for this many years. And they're like, okay, but we cannot take your word for it. We're going to need proof. So I tell them I'm self-employed. They say send over your tax ID number, and then you can use that tax ID number, and they know you're not lying because you actually have tax documents showing your income for the years. So if you have a very good year and you make $1,000 a month and it shows you make $1,200, now that's how much people are making when you work at Walmart. So if you look at it like that, there are people who work at Walmart who have bought houses. It's not out of the question. You don't have to have 24,000 or $36,000 or $42,000 a year to buy a house. There are mortgages that are less than $400 a month, and those are the kinds that you can get as a musician and still be successful. And you can also use your spare bedrooms. Airbnb is a good way to make money, or you can get a duplex, rent out the other half, and then basically have a rent-free house where you can travel and do music and not have to be confounded by a job that only lets you travel on Christmas, the 2 weeks out of the year. So I really hope you guys look into it. It's very good for building a business. Also, it's not street cred, but it's kind of street cred. When you tell people I'm a self-employed musician and I have a business license, their eyes light up and it's like, wow, So you're actually making money, and you're actually not like, I'm a musician and I play for meals. You're actually making money, which there's nothing wrong. I played at the Marriott for 6 months just through tips and like Pepsi, and I still did very well. But I could have claimed all those tips and put that towards my income, so the banks would look at me like, "Oh, so you made this much at the Marriott, and it was actually, something that we taxed." But sorry, the government would tax it. The mortgage lender would say, "You taxed it, and this is how we are going to determine that you are eligible for this loan." And if you look at video number 2, the credit video, if you look at video number 3, the credit video, if you look at video number 1, the credit video, you're going to see how your credit has everything to do with buying a house other than your income. And you can build credit as a musician without having to lift a finger and do anything but what you would already do. By what you buy, you just pay it off over a period of 6 months, and it builds credit history. So I hope these tips help, and have an amazing rest of the day.